Want to learn how to read people's minds? It all starts with observing the subtle signals. Today, we'll unravel a tale from ancient times, where a wise monk demonstrates the power of perception in uncovering hidden truths. Join us and discover the key techniques for reading minds through a captivating Buddhist story. In an ancient Eastern empire, revered far and wide for its grandeur and profound culture, lived a monk named Ling Shan. Known for his deep wisdom and exceptional Zen practice, Ling Shan was a sage whose reputation transcended the boundaries of the remote monastery where he resided. Nestled high in the mist-covered mountains, he was not only a master of Buddhist doctrines, but also an expert in psychological insight and human behavior analysis. Ling Shan spent most of his days in quiet contemplation, meditating by the tranquil lotus pond and teaching a select group of disciples who sought to understand the mysteries of the mind and spirit. His ability to unravel the complex web of human emotions and intentions through simple observation was legendary. He believed in the interconnectedness of all beings and taught that true understanding comes from a compassionate heart and a clear mind. The monastery, a place of serenity and ancient wisdom, was adorned with scrolls of sacred texts and vibrant murals depicting the life of Buddha. It was here that Ling Shan wrote his treatises on the nature of consciousness and the path to enlightenment, works that would eventually spread his fame across the empire. As news of his profound understanding reached the ears of the common folk and nobility alike, Ling Shan's counsel became sought after by many. However, he remained detached from worldly affairs, focusing on his spiritual teachings and the well-being of his disciples. Despite his secluded life, fate would soon call him to the heart of the imperial capital, where his wisdom would be tested in unexpected ways. One fateful day, turmoil swept through the imperial palace as a precious jade stone, a symbol of the emperor's divine right to rule, was stolen. The palace, usually a beacon of order and serenity, was thrust into chaos. Guards scrambled in search of the thief, and courtiers whispered suspicions and rumors, casting a shadow of distrust across the once harmonious court. The emperor, deeply troubled by the theft and its implications for his reign, recalled tales of a monk of unparalleled wisdom who resided in the distant mountains. Ling Shan, the monk, was reputed not only for his spiritual depth, but also for his ability to perceive truths that eluded others. Desperate for a resolution that seemed beyond the capabilities of his own advisors, the emperor decided to seek Ling Shan's assistance. A royal envoy, adorned in the emperor's colors and bearing the imperial seal, was dispatched post-haste to the monastery. The journey was long and arduous, through winding paths flanked by whispering bamboo groves and steep cliffs. Upon arriving, the envoy was struck by the peace of the monastery, a stark contrast to the anxiety back at the palace. He found Ling Shan meditating in the garden, a serene figure amidst the chirping of crickets and the gentle rustle of leaves. With great reverence, the envoy presented the emperor's request, explaining the urgency of the matter and the turmoil that had engulfed the palace. Ling Shan listened intently, his face an unreadable mask of calm, and after a moment of contemplation, he agreed to follow the envoy back to the capital, driven by a sense of duty to aid in restoring harmony to the empire. Upon his arrival at the imperial palace, Ling Shan was escorted directly to the grand audience hall, where the emperor awaited, his expression marked by anxiety and anticipation. The vast hall, with its towering columns and intricate tapestries, echoed with the subtle sounds of a royal court on edge. The emperor, relieved to see the revered monk, quickly briefed him on the details of the theft, describing how the disappearance of the jade stone had not only disrupted the peace, but also threatened the stability of his reign. He expressed his hopes that Ling Shan's renowned insights could help uncover the thief. Ling Shan, calm and collected, requested that all suspects be gathered in the hall. He wished to observe them together, believing that the dynamics of their interactions and the subtleties of their behavior would reveal much about their guilt or innocence. The emperor, eager for a resolution, immediately ordered his guards to assemble the servants, guards, and courtiers who had access to the chamber from which the jade had been stolen. As the suspects filed into the hall, Ling Shan took a position where he could clearly see each person's face. He watched quietly, his eyes moving from one individual to another, noting everything from their posture and the steadiness of their gaze to the slightest twitch or swallow. The suspects stood in a loose group, some visibly nervous, others defiant or overly composed. Ling Shan's presence, though understated, seemed to magnify the tension in the room, as if his very calmness drew the truth closer to the surface. With all gathered, the hall fell silent, everyone waiting for Ling Shan to speak. However, he continued to observe in silence, allowing the weight of the moment to press upon the suspects, believing that truth often emerges more from what is not said than from what is spoken. As the silence stretched, Ling Shan finally spoke, his voice calm yet carrying a weight that filled the expansive hall. He requested each suspect to recount their whereabouts and actions at the time of the theft, carefully observing their responses. One by one, the suspects spoke, their voices echoing under the high-vaulted ceilings of the imperial hall. Ling Shan listened intently to each account, but his attention was focused far beyond their words. He noted the hurried pace of some speeches, which betrayed a nervous mind, and the overly slow, measured tones of others, which hinted at rehearsed stories. His keen eyes caught the way some avoided eye contact, their gazes darting uncertainly, while others fixed their eyes too firmly, as if challenging the very notion of suspicion. He observed their hands as well, some fidgeted incessantly, betraying their anxiety, while others clenched their fists or gripped the fabric of their robes, signaling a struggle to maintain control or conceal fear. These small details, often overlooked by others, spoke volumes to Ling Shan. After all had spoken, Ling Shan meditated briefly on what he had observed. He then quietly instructed the emperor to dismiss several of the suspects, whose accounts and demeanors suggested genuine unawareness of the crime. Their sincerity and openness in delivery, coupled with consistent eye contact and relaxed postures, led him to conclude they were unlikely to have committed the theft. This initial scrutiny reduced the number of suspects significantly, focusing the investigation on a smaller group whose behaviors had raised doubts in Ling Shan's discerning eyes. The process not only demonstrated his methodical approach, but also instilled a deeper sense of intrigue and respect among the courtiers and the emperor himself, who watched the monk's every move with growing admiration. With the group of suspects now narrowed, Ling Shan proposed a second test, one that delved deeper into the hearts of those who remained. He introduced a large, translucent gemstone, similar in appearance to the stolen jade, placed at the center of the audience hall on a pedestal draped with silk. The assembly watched with bated breath as Ling Shan described the stone's unique properties. "This gem," Ling Shan began, his voice echoing softly through the hall, "is known as the Heartstone. It is said to reveal the true nature of those who touch it. If one with a greedy heart dares to lay hands upon it, the stone will darken, mirroring the cloudiness of their intentions." The monk invited each remaining suspect to approach the stone and place their hand upon it, asking them to reflect upon their desires and purity of spirit before doing so. One by one, the suspects stepped forward, each person's approach marked by hesitation or resolve. The court watched as some hands remained steady, the stone glowing a serene blue under their touch, while for others, it turned a murky grey, signaling deceit or hidden motives. Ling Shan observed not only the reactions of the stone, but also the subtle changes in the suspect's expressions and body language as they touched it. A shift in the eyes, a sudden rigidity in posture, or a quickened breath, all these details provided him with insights into their inner state. By the end of this test, the Heartstone had exposed several more individuals whose interactions with the gem, a disquieting change in color. These suspects were quietly asked to step aside, leaving only a handful whose interactions with the stone had shown no cause for concern. This mystical and psychological examination brought the investigation closer to the truth, impressing upon all present Ling Shan's profound abilities and the depth of his understanding of human nature. The remaining suspects were few, and the tension in the whole grew palpable as the final test loomed on the horizon. For the final test, Ling Shan crafted a challenge that would rely not on physical evidence or testimonies, but on the psychological pressures of guilt and conscience. As the remaining suspects stood anxiously in the dimming light of the hall, Ling Shan addressed them with a calm certainty that seemed to pierce directly to the heart of the matter. "I have come to know who among you has taken the jade," Ling Shan announced, his voice steady and clear. "At sunrise tomorrow, I will reveal the thief's identity to the Emperor and all present." His gaze swept across the faces before him, each reflecting a mix of fear, anticipation, and in some cases, a flicker of relief at the impending resolution. As the suspects were dismissed to their quarters for the night, Ling Shan arranged to have the palace corridors and the areas surrounding the suspects' chambers subtly monitored. With the help of a few trusted palace guards, who were known for their integrity and discretion, he conducted a quiet vigil through the night. They positioned themselves at key points where they could observe any unusual activity without drawing attention to themselves. Throughout the night, Ling Shan and the guards noticed one individual who appeared particularly restless. This suspect made several trips to a secluded part of the garden, each time looking over their shoulder, a clear sign of nervousness. Ling Shan noted these actions, considering them against the backdrop of the suspect's earlier responses and the results of the Heartstone test. As dawn approached, the suspect's behavior grew increasingly erratic, culminating in an attempt to secretly meet with a known fence who dealt in stolen goods. Unbeknownst to the suspect, Ling Shan had anticipated this move and had the meeting area discreetly watched. This final piece of observation confirmed Ling Shan's suspicions, providing him not only with the conclusive evidence he needed, but also showcasing his profound understanding of human psychology, how guilt and fear could drive a person to act in ways that ultimately led to their own unveiling. The stage was set for the revelation at sunrise, where truth and consequence would finally align under Ling Shan's watchful eye. As the first rays of the sun pierced the horizon, casting a golden glow over the imperial palace, a tense crowd gathered in the audience hall. The emperor, court officials, and the remaining suspects stood in silence, awaiting the resolution of the mystery that had disrupted the peace of the empire. Ling Shan stepped forward, his presence commanding the room with an air of serene authority. He gestured towards one guard in particular, who stood apart, his posture tense, and his eyes darting nervously around the room. "This man," Ling Shan began, his voice resonating with calm certainty, "has not found peace this night. While others sought rest, he walked the palace grounds, approached the location of our Heartstone multiple times, and exhibited signs of deep inner turmoil. The hall was silent, but for the murmur of shifting robes and the soft clink of armor." The accused guard's face drained of color as Ling Shan continued, detailing the observations made during the night, his restless movements, his secretive attempts to retest the Heartstone, and his ill-fated meeting in the gardens. Faced with the undeniable evidence of his actions and the weight of Ling Shan's discerning gaze, the guard's resolve crumbled. Under the immense pressure of the moment, and perhaps relieved to unburden his conscience, he confessed to the theft of the jade stone. He admitted to having been tempted by its beauty and the wealth it would bring, believing it could change his modest life forever. His confession brought a wave of reactions across the whole, some of shock, others of relief. The emperor, who had listened intently, expressed a solemn mix of disappointment and gratitude, the former for the betrayal of trust, and the latter for the truth that had been skillfully uncovered by Ling Shan. In the aftermath of the confession, the emperor stood before the assembly, his demeanor reflecting both the gravity and relief of the resolution. Turning to Ling Shan, he expressed profound admiration for the monk's wisdom and the methods he employed to reveal the truth. Your insights have not only restored the jade to its rightful place, but have also reinstated peace within these walls, the emperor said, his voice resonant with respect and gratitude. He then extended an invitation to Ling Shan, asking him to remain at the palace as a permanent advisor, to aid in the governance of the empire with his unique perspective and wisdom. Your ability to read the human heart and mind would be invaluable to us, the emperor proposed, hoping to retain the monk's presence. However, Ling Shan, with a gentle yet firm resolve, declined the generous offer. He explained that his life's calling was tied to his spiritual practice and the tranquility of his monastery. Majesty, while I am honored by your request, my path requires me to return to my contemplation and teaching. It is there, in the simplicity and silence of the monastery, that I can best serve the universe and its inherent truths, Ling Shan conveyed with humble clarity. Before departing, Ling Shan addressed the court one final time. He shared insights on the importance of understanding nonverbal cues and the subtle dynamics of human behavior. True wisdom, he taught, lies in observing not just what people say, but how they say it, what they do not say, and what their bodies express silently. These signs reveal the unspoken truths of the heart and mind. His words left a lasting impact on all who listened, embedding a sense of deeper awareness and reflection within the hearts of the emperor and his courtiers. With reverent farewells, Ling Shan then made his way back to his mountain retreat, leaving behind a legacy of wisdom that would continue to inspire and influence the empire for generations to come. The teachings imparted through the story of Ling Shan underscore a profound principle. The essence of true understanding lies in perceiving the unsaid, the subtle glances, the fleeting expressions, and the unconscious gestures that convey deeper truths than words alone. Ling Shan's expertise in discerning these nonverbal cues highlights an essential skill, one that transcends the boundaries of ancient wisdom and finds relevance in modern interactions. By demonstrating how to read these subtle signs, Ling Shan not only solved the mystery of the stolen jade, but also provided a valuable lesson in human psychology. He showed that by paying attention to the details of how people present themselves and react in various situations, one can gain insights into their true intentions and emotions. This ability to interpret nonverbal communication can lead to more effective and empathetic interactions, whether in resolving conflicts, building relationships, or navigating complex social settings. Furthermore, Ling Shan's approach teaches that such insight requires a calm and focused mind, attuned not only to what is visible, but also to what lies beneath the surface. It encourages an observant and mindful way of living, where patience and attention to detail bring clarity and understanding. This story, therefore, does more than recount a clever resolution to a crisis. It serves as an educational tool, encouraging the cultivation of observational skills that can profoundly enhance one's ability to understand and interact with others. Through this narrative, Ling Shan's legacy continues to impart wisdom on how to navigate the complexities of human behavior and the intricacies of the mind, fostering a deeper connection to the world around us.